There's one tiny system at work that I started using that makes me better at meetings, better at one-on-ones, and even better at coming up with ideas. The strange thing is that it didn't make me smarter, and it didn't require some complicated productivity setup. It mostly fixed a problem that I didn't even realize costed me good ideas every single week. Because I started to notice something really frustrating after every meeting. Someone would say something genuinely useful, or I'd think of a better way to approach a project. At the time, I'd think, that's good, I need to remember that. Then 2 days later, when it was actually useful and I needed to go and apply it was gone. So eventually I realized that having good ideas is not the issue. It's keeping them. And once I noticed it, I started seeing it happen everywhere. I'd think of something I want to mention to my manager on, let's say, a Tuesday. Our one-on-one would happen Friday. By Friday, I'd be sitting there thinking, I know that there is something that I wanted to talk to her about. That was the moment I stopped treating my memory like a reliable storage system. So I tried one embarrassingly simple change. I didn't have a giant Notion dashboard, didn't even have like a 20 folder productivity setup. I just gave myself exactly one rule for anything that made me think I might want to use this later. When that happens, I simply write it down on OneNote and capture it immediately and in the moment. That's it. That's the entire foundation of the system. But here's where I think most people misunderstand what actually defines an idea. I'm not walking around waiting for some $1 billion startup idea. Most of what I capture looks completely insignificant when I write it down. It might be a question, an observation, an idea I came up with, something that someone may have said in the meeting. You see, the ideas that actually improve your work are usually tiny before they're useful. And this started producing a really weird effect in all of my meetings. Before, I thought good contributors, people that I would look up to, I thought they were naturally amazing at coming up with different intelligent ideas on the spot. But now I could walk into a meeting and have 3 previous observations from last week that I can go ahead and raise my hand and talk about. I was no longer focused on trying to desperately manufacture insight while everyone was watching me. You see, some of my best spontaneous, off the top of the dome contributions were not spontaneous at all. I just had the thought earlier and didn't lose it. Then something even stranger happened. Someone would mention an issue we'd discuss a week prior. I'd pull up the thought I had captured when it happened, or I'd remember to follow up on something that other people completely forgot about. From the outside, it started looking like I had really good memory. But the problem is, they're wrong. I don't have a good memory. I just stopped relying on it. You see, but I almost ruined this idea capture system by making the whole thing too complicated. See, if you're an overthinker and you get into productivity, there's a very terrible habit, a tendency, where you want to build the perfect system. You want to use certain apps. You want to have certain categories, certain folders, making it nice and neat and aesthetic. Maybe even throw in a dashboard in there, a little Kanban board. Suddenly, writing down a 10-second thought requires administrative approval. It requires a lot of different things that need to go into it rather than just typing out the thought. And that's when I realized speed matters more than the organization at the time of you coming up with the idea. So now I separate 2 things that I used to have to do at the same time. When an idea happens, I don't ask where it belongs. I don't polish the wording. I don't even decide whether it's actually good. The goal is to capture now and to organize all of those thoughts later on. You see, those are 2 completely different jobs. And this is where the system became much more useful than just basic note-taking. After enough time, I wasn't looking at isolated notes anymore. An observation from one meeting connected to something that I wrote down from 3 months prior. 3 months earlier. A random thought became a project improvement, a presentation idea. With this system, you're slowly building your own library of thinking, and that changes the way that you approach problems. Normally, whenever we need to create anything, we start from a blank page. But if you've been capturing useful thoughts for months, you're rarely actually starting from zero. You see, past you has actually been doing research for future you. But the biggest change wasn't that I started magically remembering more. Once I knew I had somewhere to put ideas, I started noticing more of them. Meetings became things I could extract lessons from. Problems became possible improvements instead of just annoyances. The capture system didn't just preserve my thinking, it changed what I paid attention to. And you absolutely do not need to copy my exact setup. Pick one place that's available basically all of the time for the next 7 days. Whenever you think, oh, that might be useful, put it there. Don't organize it, don't judge it, don't make it a productivity project. At the end of the week, go back through everything. I think you'll be surprised how much useful thinking you usually let disappear. I used to think being organized at work meant being able to remember everything. Now I think almost the opposite. The more important an idea is, the less willing I am to trust myself that I'm just going to magically remember it when I actually need to use it. You see, your brain is really good at having ideas, but give somewhere else the job of actually keeping them, because the next thought you almost forget might actually be the one you need most. But another important part of your corporate brand is to speak properly. And so I actually have a video right here where I go into a few things that you can do to improve your speech in the corporate environment. Hopefully that helps, and I'll see you in there. Have a good one.